Hey, peace and blessings, family, and happy new year to you all. Welcome to the Soul of Music, and tonight I have some guests with me as always. We're going to talk reggae, and I'm super psyched. I got my whole little list of stuff out, and I'm excited to be joined by my brother Keon, my brother Darius, and my sister Aoife Odupoy. How you doing, family? Happy New Year.
Hey, happy
New Year.
Yes.
Right on, right on. So before we get into reggae, tell me, how did y'all bring in y'all New Year? I'm not going to lie. My truth is I went to sleep at like 6:30. Woke up at 11:30 and did the whole New Year's thing. I was back in the bed by like 2 o'clock.
Oh.
I was 59 years old. I was like,
I seen a meme that said, "Hey, all y'all 45 and above, y'all know y'all need y'all nap before New Year's. You're not gonna catch it." It made me laugh.
What did y'all do?
Man, I made a pot of gumbo.
Oh.
Had some drinks. Had some. I think I talked to Brother Keon at midnight.
We did.
Yeah, it had to be. We was right. We was right by then, so.
Yeah.
But I stayed at home though, stayed out of the way, but made sure I was comfortable in my space.
Same way.
I put a dresser together and cleaned my room. It was not exciting. And that's after I went and bought a bottle of my favorite champagne, which I just drank yesterday because I was cleaning. It was not exciting.
I did make some black-eyed peas and some greens for an offering for my ancestors. I don't like black-eyed peas. We grew up on them, so I really hate them. But I make them. I do an offering to my ancestors along with the greens. You know, I did eat the greens. I did, and some cornbread. So that was cool. But I'll do that just out of honor and respect. You know what I'm saying?
Tradition. Carry on tradition.
Yeah, them black-eyed peas. Boy, I think of black-eyed peas. I think of ham hocks because that's what we had every year when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My mama froze that bone from Christmas, and next thing you know, it was in the black-eyed peas for New Year's. Oh my God!
Yeah. Same thing, man. I just had a couple of sips. It was a real chill night, very chill night. Just had a couple of sips, had something to, some Christmas trees. You lit the Christmas tree. Christmas tree.
Yeah. A small forest fire.
A small forest fire. Yeah, it was a somber one. Happy New Year.
So tonight, family, we are going to talk about reggae. And so as I started doing the research for this, I thought to myself, I'm not going to front. When I think of reggae music, there are a few things that come to mind. Besides Judy Mowato and Bob Marley, because I grew up with Judy Mowato, believe it or not. And then weed comes to mind. Rastafarians come to mind. African talk of what Africa is like, and Ethiopia. That sounds real, that's just my word association with reggae.
That's not off. That's not bad.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because I'm like, what you mean? and locks, and dreadlocks, and particularly the word dreadlocks. So I don't know. Keon, talk to me. You being of Jamaican ancestry, which is beautiful. What does reggae mean to you? Is that something you heard in your house? Is that something that you grew up with?
Absolutely. Reggae music is part of my foundation. It's part of my original love for music. Reggae music feeds. In essence, as we discuss, we'll find out there's different forms of Jamaican music. Reggae is a specific kind of music. But yeah, so you said those things that come to mind to you when you think Jamaica, reggae music. You think weed, big split, you think Rasta, you think locks, you think Ethiopia. All those words can truly be connected and when you say reggae, when you think about reggae. So you're not off in that. But in my household, definitely, my mother and father both was collectors of music, piles and stacks of records. My mother played music. My father played music loud. the neighborhood enjoyed the music. Our block enjoyed the music coming from our house, windows open, which is also a part of New York culture. Apartment garage door closed. So yeah.
Right on. What about you, Ifeoma Dupe? When you hear reggae, what really comes to your mind?
I like it. I like the music loud. I feel like that's a part of it. I feel like the big speakers are a part of it.
Yeah.
White people doing this. No. Okay, I'm sorry. I was wrong for that, but I had to get it out. I just had to get it out early, so I'll just keep doing it. But of course, Bob Marley. I did a little bit of singing with this band called O Street, which was reggae gentrification. But I was mostly singing Phyllis Dillon songs, and so I love her stuff.
She going in tonight.
I'm gonna lie, it's gentrification. I just, you do a lot of things when you're a singer, just random foolishness. But yeah, that's summertime belongs to reggae for me. I mean, no matter where I am living in the world, I will find some place to go and dance to some reggae music. Like there used to be a club in Berkeley called the Underground underneath Passan's.
Yes.
That I used to go to every Sunday night. They did have a little thing here, Swabbies on the River, all of that. I mean, I like just the feel of it. I've never been to Jamaica, so I can't, say that I know the roots of reggae, so to speak, but it's always it's that thing that it's the other fight music for me. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the other fight music.
Yeah.
What about you, Darius? Reggae, what comes to your mind? Reggae.
Definitely all the buzzwords that everyone has said. But also just to add to that, I also think of Pan-Africanism. My understanding of Pan-Africanism came through reggae. I was introduced to the term that way. Entrepreneurship, independence, all of those that deep cultural connection to Africa, and that pride that comes along with being connected to Africa, unapologetic blackness, and those things, in addition to everything that you all have said, kind of drove me. I didn't hear reggae. I heard, I guess, commercial forms of it as a kid, and I didn't really know what it was. But I didn't hear reggae, what I know to be reggae, until I was like 18 years old in high school, and a friend of mine gave me an Augustus Pablo CD, and it changed my life. From that, I went from 1988. I had a Jerry curl, listening to Augustus Pablo for the first time, and by 1995, I had dreadlocks, and just completely the way that I am now, like in terms of my thinking. So the music kind of held my hand through all those stages until I got to a place to where, just saw the world differently. So really important to me how it affected me.
Right on.
And let me say that speaking to that transformation, and reggae is powerful. Reggae music is very, very powerful music, and allowing yourself to indulge, you will go through some form of transformation. You will definitely go through some form of transformation, allowing yourself to indulge in the music. Yeah. Even I myself.
What is the roots of reggae, though? What is the root? Because everything has a root. What do you consider to be the roots of reggae?
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I would say in terms of the culturally speaking, right? And Brother Darius spoke to, we said, the Africanism, the Pan-Africanism, and so it definitely connects the culture, but even the evolution of reggae. So when you talk about the roots, in music form, let's say we're talking about the evolution of the music that the people would listen to or participate in. So you have ska. I think you have a form of reggae. It was pre-reggae music called canton, which is more so field work songs, spiritual songs, right? So all these things was going on before the evolution of what we know to be reggae music. So, as when we say culture, we talk about food, we talk about clothes, we talk about language, dance. So culturally speaking now, reggae music comes from the culture of the enslaved Africans, right? The evolution of the music to the times, if I could say that generically.
Right on, right on. You're saying something here. I'm always looking for these linkages. I've been on that platform called Clubhouse, and so I've been in all these conversations. But you said something that was a linkage to me when I asked you what was the root of that, and you talked about the enslaved African and how we create things to express what we're going through. That kind of made me feel like or think of blues or like that kind of chain gang songs, kind of things that's a deep root of the rhythm of expression. And so are you saying that the root of reggae has everything to do with the struggle for African people in Jamaica?
Absolutely. And even the evolution of that form, like I said, you have Jamaican music, but reggae is a specific genre. So even the evolution of reggae music comes from the blues and American artists that they would listen to, you know what I mean, as the styles change and progress. So yeah, but it's definitely tied into that.
So where does we're going to stick with that. How does religion bend into reggae? So when you say Jah Rastafari is and then a lot of us got introduced to that through reggae.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't necessarily know nobody in our family was walking around praise the Lord like what y'all would say Jah Rastafari, you know what I'm saying? So how does that connect into reggae?
Right. So reggae, that's a very good question, because reggae specifically is the music of the oppressed, right? And we know that through our oppression, through colonialism and all those things, we lean on spirituality. Spirituality is one of the things. Song and dance is one of the things. Communion amongst ourselves and fellowship is one of the things. So the way that spirituality plays directly into reggae is so reggae music, for the most part, when you look at the founders of who we say Bob Marley, right? The Wailers, they were practicing Rastafarians, right? So their music specifically, that thing of reggae music with the founders, Bob Marley, Wailers, and other artists, their praise went directly into the music. If it's not struggle, it's praise. Because one thing with Jamaican music, even to this day, you'll find spiritual songs in the top 40 mixed with contemporary music. There's no separation. You go to the dance hall and you would play like a Capleton, and that's, give thanks to Jah, you know what I mean? And then they'll play some dance hall shit right after that, you know what I mean? So there's no, they don't separate that. Music is music coming from the island, and whatever speaks to the people.
Okay, so y'all jump in there. This is just me answering my question, but y'all got something, y'all jump in there. Does weed though take you to another place to communicate? Like sometimes weed can be misunderstood. No, seriously. Like, when some of my favorite jazz artists smoked a lot of weed. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and in some native traditions, when you're trying to reach a different elevation, you have to smoke some weed, but they don't call it weed, they call it something else. So if they're on their Taquati or there's a certain type of pipes that they use, they're trying to get to a certain level. That's not the level of sitting on your couch asking dumbass questions about why we sitting in the love seat. Did that mean me in love? It's so not that. But it's like a spiritual elevation. They wrote some incredible pieces when they were in altered states, if you will.
When I was in South Africa a couple of years ago, we talked to this brother We went to the Zulu village out there, and he talked about how his ancestors, they smoked herb all the time, and they did, and he didn't say things like invoke the ancestors, but he did talk about that connection to the spirit world that it opens up, and I do believe that. I believe that it opens up a vibration and a frequency to the spirit world. That if you already have that creativity inside of you, it illuminates that. It takes that and it allows you to connect with things that sometimes are beyond your understanding and you don't know how they're flowing through you, but it definitely creates that conduit so that you can do it. And then there is a very highly spiritual aspect to reggae. I always called it like island gospel because it connects on this level that that Christians, I think, are were afraid of. We're taught to be afraid of. And so when we used it for rebellion or for connection or whatever, the thing that we were able to do is connect through the spirit first. And that's when we were able to align the spirit world with whatever our physical condition was. And then we use the music to inspire the people to do whatever would needed to be done. And that's kind of how I've always seen that spiritual connection of it. And weed was always there. And it wasn't lay on the ground and be all drugged out. It was never about that. It was a conduit. It was to get to an elevation. And that's the way that I've always experienced it in that, culturally. So I think there's a definite connection, and it's not a negative one either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody want to add on to that? I didn't want to jump out. I thought somebody was going to add on to that.
I was just gonna say that I also like one of the things I love about reggae music is that it is it speaks to every part of us and connects it to the divine, right? So there's the rebellion, there's the spirituality, there's the love, there's the struggle. I mean, all of it is encompassed in the music, and yeah, I feel like weed is a part of that just culturally, but also it's not like a lot of what we witness where people are taken out of the game by an addiction. It's different. Do you know what I mean? So one thing I think you taught as a musician in a lot of settings is like get your rigor down. There's a practice to pulling out of yourself that divine essence in your creativity, right? And if you're in your practice and you're using that to get to another level, that's different from just I'm gonna smoke this weed and see what happens. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not a passive thing. Like you're already in the practice of pulling that out of yourself, and then that's added to the mix as a part of your life, which is a whole nother equation from just sitting it on top of your troubles to kind of numb the pain and anesthetize yourself. Like when you're expressing what is, but still affirming your connection to the divine in the process, whether that's because I really love the sweetness of reggae. And maybe that's because I'm a woman and I just love the sweetness of all things, but I just really love the sweetness of it. I think that it's very romantic. Like the music is very romantic, and it just creates a certain kind of mood that even in your communication to the divine, it just adds a certain kind of sweetness and that rhythm. You know what I mean? That's what's up.
I'm glad you said the sweetness. I'm glad you spoke on that, because as I was preparing for this, or at least just thinking about this conversation to come, and I was saying reggae music is one of the sweetest music on the planet. It's one of the sweetest music on the planet. other than that, I would say I enjoy listening to like continental African choir music. You know, when you hear the voices and layer, that's so sweet as well. And they remind me that, you know, similarly, they make me feel similarly. But reggae music is done right and proper, right? It's some of the sweetest music, and it feeds you. It is the sense of being fed of that.
Sister Madonna said, what is the major difference between dance hall and roots reggae? Good question.
It's a very good question. So again, like we were saying, right, you have Jamaican music, and in Jamaica, so there's different forms or different genres of music. Roots reggae is actually the found. So roots reggae used to actually play in the dance hall, right, when the people gather in the town, because music, due to the amount of oppression and poverty that's on the island, music is one of the sweetest releases, right? I remember visiting Jamaica when I was young, and to see the people like, and no BS. And now I understand how it go like that when it's in New York too, and other places. But the parties start at night, and it's not over till the morning. I mean, well into the morning. The sun done hit the horizon already. It's past the horizon. The sun is quarter way in the sky, and the party's still going on. You know what I mean? That roots music started like that, and it used to play in the dance hall. What dance hall music has evolved to would be more so partying, right, versus soul music, right? Dancehall is more of a party. How it's become, how it transformed over the years. Dancehall has become more of a social partying kind of thing, versus roots reggae was like spiritual feeding, if you will. You know what I mean? But I want to duly note that roots reggae still used to run the dance hall, right? Dance hall is the place where the people gather, where the people come to party, where they come to let loose and things of that nature. So, you know, roots music, early reggae music used to rule the dance hall, and then dance hall became kind of like its own subculture, if you will, its own thing.
Is there a political aspect, if you will, to reggae?
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to go back real quick though. I think another difference between roots and dance hall is the driving of the drum. The dance has that, it's like that fall and the flow. It just pounds and it goes steady. Whereas you're a little bit laid, you're laid back a little bit off the beat in the roots world. And so and from that driving pound, you know, you got also the foundation of hip hop that kind of came out of that, you know. And I think it also has to do with the sound system and how the sound system was used to bring the people together outdoors, as in, which was a little different from being inside. And so I think those are some of the differences, but a lot of it is there's just some more tribal drive in the drums with dancehall, and then with roots reggae, laid off. It's a little more laid back. But the
Those
group,
are excellent points, because it's a different style, right? We talk about a different style, literally, of the music. So yeah, excellent points, kid.
So how does the political stuff tie into reggae? Or the political issues, or where does that tie in reggae music?
that's the Pan-Africanism, right? That's the struggle of the slave. That's, you know, that's the oppressed. That's the voice of the oppressed. That is speaking directly to the powers that be, having a message from God. You know, the preacher is allowed to stand behind the pulpit and send a message to anyone on behalf of God. And I just think that the reggae artists did the same thing, more spiritual aspect, to send a message from Jah. And it had to have political ties to it, because you're talking about a country that won its independence at some point, and music has always been at the foundation of any revolution. And so we've always used music, even gospel, even whatever. We've always used it to talk to the Pharaoh, or talk to the powers that be, or talk to Babylon, or we've always used it for that respect. And I think it's just a channeling of the politics of life through the word, through the music.
Right on. Right on.
Absolute.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's very political as well. We said, where does it tie in? It's automatic.
Also, the affirmation of our commitment to thrive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to live, I'm going to work, I'm going to eat, I'm going to love, I'm going to do all these things, and I really don't care that you're trying to kill me. There's a lot of that throughout that theme running through the music, like just the affirmation of our divinity, that God lives here, and this is I get to have a life regardless of how you say. And I feel like that's very political.
Yeah, would you want to say something?
No, just my people's on point, and that also the fact that it's very rebellious. You know what I mean? In essence, Jamaicans are very rebellious. We're a very rebellious set of people. You know what I mean? From foundation, and we didn't just accept a lot of the things. So again, even in the music, as it pertains to it being political, was songs of struggle and rebellion.
Right on. I posted this picture of, I typed in reggae's best, and this came up. And I think I only recognize maybe 3 people on here. I'm not a real reggae head like that. But do y'all recognize any of these people on here? Keon, you better get all of them right.
I'm not going to get all of them right. I'm not going to get. Well, yeah, you have Dennis Brown. We have Burning Spear. We have Bob Marley, and we have Bob Marley's youngest son, the youngest veteran, Damian Marley. I don't know who the white guys are in the front at all. And brother with the tom on to the far right, forgive me for oh yeah, I can't call his face, but I'm familiar with him.
Okay. So with that being said, in reggae music, is there y'all don't have issues around race and people stealing your music? No?
I think they do.
You know why I'm laughing?
No, what?
Depending on who I'm talking to, I get different truths. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like in America, say we don't have racism, and some be like, we do not have racism. And then some black, you know what I mean? It depends. But I only say that because I see these white guys in the band. I'm like, how they gonna be next to Bob Marley and be in the goddamn center? But that's just me.
So here's a slight thing. They actually do have racism, and it's being acknowledged, right? Especially with gentrification and thing. But the way how prideful Jamaicans are, or the white dudes are probably UB40, absolutely. And I don't think about that. So how prideful Jamaicans are is just happy that everybody and anybody would recognize the music, and they would actually look at that as a testament to the power of reggae music. So versus saying, look at these white people doing it, they'd be like, yeah, watch reggae go in the world and do his thing. You know what I mean? They like, the people can't resist. They more so look at it like that. You know what I mean? More of an optimism, say, to be a testament to the power of reggae music. But no, it's definitely racism and gentrification of the music and all that thing going on. Absolutely.
I'm just laughing because I think that's a great outlook to have, but I also feel that's how white supremacy always wins in the end.
Yeah, when you don't mind. When you don't mind.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, as they steal your whole life, like UB40, I seen a documentary called Lovers Rock, the documentary, not just the movie. I loved it. And they talked about how those groups stole all of that reggae flair, but the people who made those songs didn't get as much.
Nothing.
You know, it's kind of like Elvis and Little Richard, I guess. You know, when you think about it. But how can we be You said that reggae is very rebellious, and I get it, but how can you still be rebellious but still accept people at the same time?
So they're more rebellious towards an establishment versus human beings. Because when you say one love, part of the thing with being in Rasta, when they say one love, it's definitely come from a Pan-African foundation. But Rasta look at the connection of everything, from the sun, the moon, the stars, human beings to the ant. Rastas will connect all of the divinity of things in existence and say one love, and that everything is one. You know what I mean? So
tell me
that's how things might get mixed up.
Tell me who are some of your favorite reggae artists and why? Why do you? And I started off talking about Judy, Sister Judy Moet. I think that's her last name. I'm trying to get
Judy Moet.
What I loved about her is when I started my first job at 18 years old, the women that I worked for listened to a lot of her. And my favorite song by her is Black Woman, and the song is just so on point. Everything she says in there, it's like, that's my lived experience. So that was what brought me into the door. You know, you hear about Marley, and I get it. It's kind of like, you just hear the music. But for her, that's the first time I ever stopped and felt connected to the words. Because for me, I'm a rhythm person, so I just can't be listening to something that's talking about peanut butter and no job. Like, I couldn't make that connection. But with her, we joke like that. But with her, she really talked about the struggle that women go through and that is not acknowledged. And that spoke to me. And that's what kind of helped me to get through the door to even appreciate the rhythms, the lyrics, people's struggle in their prospective countries and this linkage to mine. So that would be my person, flat out. But who for y'all?
I want to say just so it is Bob Marley for me, but I have to say that because right now my favorite reggae artists are Damian Marley and Stephen Marley. Like, those are family.
Yeah.
I mean, every last one of his offspring, and I'm bringing it up because I think if we had to rewrite a Bible, or if we had to look at the spiritual evolution of our people, Bob Marley is a prophet. Like, I just can't speak in him in any other sense because of what he was able to accomplish through music, and then also what he left behind that still bears fruit to this day. So I think like the foundation of that for me is Bob Marley, but my favorite artists like that I'm listening to right now, two of my favorite are Stephen Marley and Damian Marley. And then Stephen's son is just, he's too. It just seems like anybody with a Marley last name is at the top of me, for me personally.
Respect.
Wow. Yeah. The Donna is saying Steel Pulse, Gregory Isaac. This is Buju Banton.
Yeah.
Y'all know any of these artists?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
Buju Banton brought me out of a depression.
You said,
I just moved to Phoenix. I didn't know no black people except for my one friend, and I was feeling abandoned. And somebody said that Buju Banton was in concert, and I didn't know my way around. I had to figure out how to get to the place. And when I walked in there and seen all them black people, just turned all the way up. I was like, oh yeah, I found black heaven. I don't think I had that much fun at a concert in my entire life.
wow.
That was awesome. But I still love Phyllis Dillon because I'm a soul singer, and I love songs, and that's her thing. And so just singing her music and listening to her music has really that's connected me to reggae in a different kind of way. Like, I have to say Bob Marley because, of course, that's probably what I've listened to the most in my life. That's my go-to move. Before I get to anybody else, I'm gonna listen to that. But yeah, Phyllis Dillon.
Okay.
What about
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
I would Bob Marley off top, king of reggae. His offspring, and I got a couple. I had the opportunity one time, right? So a brother of mine, rest in peace, real close brother of mine. He was the manager of another popular dancehall artist who more so grew into reggae now. If y'all seen that movie Shatters,
Oh yeah.
you okay? So you remember Wayne, right? Wayne was not Stephen Marley, but his brother in there. So my
Mike.
brother used to, yeah, my
Yeah.
brother managed Sprague Benz, who played Wayne in real
Oh.
life, and
Mhm.
he brought Sprague. I met Sprague. Let me tell you where I met Sprague Benz. I met Sprague on Truxell in Stonegate Apartments. Like, nigga, is that Sprague? They say, yeah, Keanu, my daddy, him rears me. I manage him. So every time Sprague come to Sacramento, you know what I mean, I would have dealings and meetings with Sprague. Um, but my brethren managed Sprague, and you know,
Mm.
he often brought reggae, the best reggae shows and culture to Sacramento. If you ever been to the Red Lion, that was put on by Red Square, rest in
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
So one time I had a chance to meet. They came a couple of times, but one time I met maybe like 15 of Bob Marley grandchildren, great grandchildren, right? I met
Mhm.
Stephen Marley, got a couple pictures with Stephen Marley. Stephen have a son too named Joe Mercer who came out. I met Joe Mercer.
Show me.
So the Marley family definitely, but I listen to like Buju Banton, Sizzla Kulanji. When you talk
Yeah.
about the classics, you talk about Gregory Isaacs. I seen Gregory Isaacs, he was a crooner. We had the Prince of Reggae, what they call the Prince, Dennis Brown. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of the 80s artists that I came up listening to, loving. But then as I got old, I got my own taste. And I would even go as far as saying there's a band, rest in peace to the front. Ooh, why his name slipped me right now? Midnight. Um,
Yes. They were here
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
yeah,
Midnight.
yeah,
Midnight. Midnight personally changed my life. I was
yeah.
already on the journey. I was already on my journey through reggae music, but Midnight transformed me personally on a bus from Alabama to California with
Mm.
about 4 Midnight CDs on rotation. And by the
Mm.
time I came, I was a new person. My
Yeah.
thoughts evolved, my spirit evolved.
Yeah.
Something sank into me, man. Rest in peace. And I'm sad I'm forgetting the front man name right now, and it's a shame. But he just passed last year as well. But Midnight, and so it's many reggae artists though, many artists that I mess with. But you know, big ups to Sizzla and Buju and them.
So
Gotta
what?
add in
Spraga,
Aswad. Aswad is I mean not Aswad, them two, Burning Spear.
Burning Spear,
Spear.
foundational.
Yeah. It's just I mean one of the new groups that I listen to a lot is Morgan Heritage. I think that they are that's just some of the
Check
best
this out.
new. Morgan
They
Heritage.
grew up Morgan Heritage. I knew them when I was a child. They live around literally around the corner from me when we lived in New York. My father knew
Really?
all of them. All of
Yeah.
them. They one
Oh
family. They live walking distance from us. Yeah.
yeah, man. That is another royal family of reggae, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, they are. Yes, they
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Sister Carol. Sister Carol is my cousin. My mother's first cousin. You know,
Oh
I post
wow.
pictures of her every time. Every time she comes to Sacramento, she at the house. I'll be posting pictures of that. So we have one of Bob Marley's right hand man during turbulent times. You know, when there was a war going on in Jamaica between we talk about politics, PNP and JLP. One of Bob Marley's right hand man named Tech Life. You know what I mean? That was my cousin. I never knew him, never met him, but I'm watching the documentary with my grandmother. My grandma said, "You see him right there? That's your cousin." I'm like, "Oh, word." He dead though, but he's a dangerous man. But he's Bob Marley right hand. Real talk, like Bob Marley Street, like his goon, like he rolled with him. And if you see the documentaries, you know how turbulent things got during the war, the political war, and that you know, my bloodline was his go-to, one of his go-to street dudes. Like when Bob Marley fled Jamaica to London after he got shot, you know what I mean? He called my family, he flew my family over there with him to discuss the peace politics with his enemy. They had to get them out of the Jamaica environment, out of the hostile environment that it was. Where a attempt was even made on Bob Marley and Rita Marley's life. He flew them over to London with him for them to have that peace talk, and they came back. If you know that big peace concert, they talked that out before he came back. But that was my family, my blood family.
That's beautiful.
This Donna said Black Uhuru.
Yes.
I'm familiar with them too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I
want to ask you a question real quick, Rhonda.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Black political parties. We're not privy to all black political parties in the States, but that war that was going on, those are black political parties that right?
Absolutely. Actually, they was not.
Yeah.
There was white political parties, and the black people were the pawns for all of that. That was Michael Manley, and when you go to Jamaica, you land in the Michael Manley Airport. Manley and Edward Seaga, and one was more of a socialist party, one was more of the right wing party. I forget which is which off top, you know what I mean? Because I didn't grow up in Jamaica, I just recall certain things. But no, so their wars, their bloody and deadly wars, was fought by the poor people in the name of these two white men.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And they was knocking each other down.
I hadn't seen all black political parties until I went to Africa. That was my first exposure to it. And so I just, for whatever reason, I just assumed that the islands had black political parties, and that came out of the independence movement and stuff like that. But
nah, it was black people fighting for two crackers, killing each other.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, you look like Marvin Gaye with your cap on, bro.
What's going on?
I'm getting so tickled by your accent coming out, like sometimes just while you talking.
I think sometimes in our need to be included or be seen as a particular way, we can't sometimes see things for what they are. So in New Orleans, they attempted to form a black political party, and those people were slaughtered. You can look up all of this. I learned that when I went to New Orleans back in the early 1900s. A whole bunch of black men got together to put together a black political party, and they were slaughtered.
Wow.
The government stood by, didn't do anything. They came in there after the people had got slaughtered at their meeting.
Of course.
Right. So I think it's very hard in the Western Hemisphere to pull off anything like that. You know what I mean? In Africa, it should be easy. It should be. I'm gonna say it should be because they're not ruling nothing either. Let's not get it twisted. Because white people have a way of keeping their self involved. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying it in a nice way. But they have a way of damn it, like or a pinky or something in there. But I learned about that. One of the first things I learned about that in the film called Better Must Come. I don't know if any of y'all seen that. And when I seen that, it made me go research that time period. And that's when I learned all that other stuff that was gory, it was bloody. It was horrendous. But we have to study those times so that when we attempt to do whatever we're gonna do, we can at least know something. I don't think it's to make you stop doing it. It's to give you more information on how to better do it and things you should be considering.
Yeah.
Fighting over two crackers to be the president of you is crazy. Like the last election we had, we fought over two old crackers to be our president.
Right.
And this
polarized.
is 20. This is not back in 1970s. I think that happened in the 1970s, right, Key?
What's that?
With the war they had in Jamaica with the streets. Our people
that was the 70s. That was the 70s. That was definitely the 70s.
Yeah. But also that leads right back into that reggae music because they also talked about the concert where he was trying to unite them together. Bob Marley was, and the white man was like, I got a whole plan for that. I go shake your hand and have a whole other plan. Don't get it twisted.
So, is that deep?
Right. So with reggae music though, how do you feel about the different branches of reggae? So when you hear about Lovers Rock, when you hear about UB40, that's not like an oil change. Oil. About white people Sting, and I love Sting and the Police, but they use a lot of reggae beats in their stuff. And I love the Police, but I also put a lot of reggae in there when I think back on it.
I even look at this, right? Reggae, the way. So even as reggae left the island, And let's note that it's a very, 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 very tiny island. But the impact that reggae music has had across the world is mystic. It's mystic. It always marveled me that when I do look at old documentaries of Bob Marley concerts and everything, you see a sea as far as your eye can see of white people. And then it's been that a lot of Africans of the diaspora. Well, I'll even start as far as saying here, yeah, that she know what I'm talking about.
Reggae on the river.
All of that, right? You always found out that white people had the luxury of exploring reggae music and appreciating reggae music before a lot of black people.
Yeah.
And it always made me scratch my head like how and why. And then as I got older, I understood that white people have more of a luxury of time in their hands to explore. You see that and do crazy shit, right? With their time. Sometimes you see them, you know, somebody like to ride on the edge of a mountain on a bike, and that's they shit, right? Even though it's two different things, they have the luxury of exploration due to how their life is set up versus, you know, the black person will understand, like, man, what they say, man? I don't even understand that shit. They ain't got no time to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus, you know what I mean, a lot of white people just have that time and that luxury to explore. And even you would say, you know, at that time, even pay for a ticket to a Bob Marley concert. You know what I mean? Black people can't afford that shit when he's coming out, whatever the case may be. So it used to marvel me. I used to make me scratch my head, like when you look at that shows, and no matter where, London, Switzerland, Germany, here in the United States, it's always, and it's only of recent that I would say more black people start to appreciate, understand reggae music, and that has a lot to do with how, you know, the times fast forward and how things are connected.
Right.
More things to connect to.
To Madonna's question, I hear you, Kiara, but I think white people have the luxury because they don't have the luxury. That's what I've learned. So they can love everything because they don't have the DNA. So they could, like, we can smoke a blunt and be good. They gotta smoke 20 blunts. Like, there is something about us. We can feel the music and feel it, but they have to be in the speaker. Like, I can't explain it. And so even though it looked like they got access to something great, really we don't need to have access to it because it's in who we are.
I get that.
So I don't have to steal your stuff.
I get that.
I ain't got to steal your stuff. Whether it's reggae music, look at all of this music we talking about came from out of soul to black folks, no matter where we are. You probably go on a damn moon and we up there with something. You know, there is something that we have that for them, they don't have the luxury of. They just don't. That's why there's so much into taking from everybody, because they feel like somehow they just didn't get it. But we got it.
Don't you think that we always come bringing gifts as well, though? Like, I was looking at this documentary and it talked about the migration of our people from the islands, from the Caribbean, all the way to the UK. And it was talking about that as the foundation of like the Lovers Rock movement and reggae being over there, why it's so strong. But we brought this, we brought that music with us. And we did bring the sound system out, and we did blast it out so the whole community could hear it and could feel it and feel that vibration. And we did. So we bring gifts with us wherever we come, and we don't ask for anything in return. We just bring and give. Is that me?
I don't know where the crack is coming from, but if you're not talking, you mute the line, maybe that control the crackling. Okay, because it just stopped. I don't know who that was. Okay, so then when you get a chance to chime back in, then we good. But your question, Darius, was about the bringing of gifts. But I think we are the gift. I don't even think we do it intentionally. I mean, that's that part of that DNA that is within us. You give us pig guts and we make chitlins. I mean, you give us, the least of what you have, and we making a drum beat on a tree. But I'm just saying, like, It's really who we are.
Yeah.
That's what makes reggae beautiful. That's what makes R&B beautiful. That's what makes crooning. That's what makes hip hop beautiful. Like no matter what you throw at us, there is something in us that's gonna just show up where white people have to study you. Like they have to, like they didn't get something. And it's very apparent when they just can't leave you alone. They can't even say thank you for the gift of what you bought. It's like they have to say, no, we created that. And you're like, dude, I didn't even know what the hell this was until I showed up and started humming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. LaDonna got a question, y'all.
Get that question here. So do y'all think Afrobeats is the future of reggae, or does it still exist as its own
genre?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're separate, especially when you're over in Africa. The two communities exist. There are Rastafarian communities all throughout Africa, and reggae is as important in the music structure over there as Afrobeats. You know what I mean? Like so, and Afrobeats is really just one of the dopest vibrations that we have that we're contributing to the world right now in itself. But I think they coexist. It's not one doesn't take over the other. I think they coexist. Just from what I've seen over there.
And that they both have traces of each other in it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You have traces of reggae, strong traces of reggae in Afrobeats, and you have strong traces of continental African expression in reggae music. So, I wouldn't necessarily put one over the other.
Yeah, they like cousins. They got some of the same DNA. The structure of the music is similar.
Yeah.
But I do trust Afrobeat to continue growing. You know what I mean? And even that, I was impressed. When I started seeing certain Africans in America start to dig. Like a car be driving by and they playing Afrobeat. You're like, yes. You know what I mean? Because no, really, because we are we're sectional with our flavors and style. It's only of the recent 20 years. I remember when I came to California and, East Coast music was East Coast music strictly. West Coast music was West Coast music strictly. But by the time I'm an East Coast person who's been in California long enough, I used to be like, damn, I wonder what it'd be like if a West Coast artist and an East Coast artist did a song together. You know what I mean? In the form of hip hop. Then you started having like Dog Pound and what's my guy's name from Queens? The Lex, Cooper Beamers, and the Benz, Mr. Cheeks and them, Lost Boys.
Mr. Cheeks, yeah, Lost Boys.
When you see Lost Boys and Dog Pound, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
But when you start seeing Mac 10 and Fat Joe, you be like, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? And I say that to say, Afrobeats is still growing. And it's a beautiful sound. It's almost going to hypnotize you once you give it a listen or it finds its way in you. So I do see Afrobeats as being part of the future, even here amongst us as Africans in America.
I think Afrobeats is going to save hip hop. I think that like hip hop is been put on this trajectory that is not what it was intended to do. And then all of a sudden Afrobeats comes in with the same elements that make hip hop what it is, but it brings back that level of consciousness. It brings back the love. It brings back the spirituality. It brings back all those elements that they took over the last few decades. So I really think Afrobeats is going to actually save hip
hop. But do you think that I think that's great. I don't disagree with that. I don't even really listen to half of the stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like as a person on the outside looking in, I also feel like the same way I'm on the outside looking in, so is your open enemy. And every form of music we had started just the way we're talking about Afrobeats. And before you knew it, you looked up and we didn't own any of the things that we created. We didn't own any of the copyrights. And so it's a trick that's been done in every form of music where Black folks have created.
Right.
Afrobeats If people can go to Africa right now and get a whole bunch of African artists and pay all of them $5,000 for their stuff that they're going to bring back to the U.S. and own it for a lifetime, how do we stop that? How do we let our brothers and sisters know who are creating Afrobeat? Let me tell you the story of hip hop. Let me tell you the story of bebop. Let me tell you the story of jazz, gospel. We can go on.
That's it right there. Tell them the story. We gotta tell our own stories. That's part of it. We have to tell our own story. That's how you stop it. Because, you know, cracker gonna do what the cracker do. A leopard is not changing his spots. So I think, real talk, we begin to tell our stories and we share. Because you're right, you've seen it done. You know what I mean? But when you see them figure out how to do reggae, because reggae is even on the one, it's a different offshoot. You see white people come through and master that. You know what I mean? And you got hip hop.
There's a white boy who sounds exactly like Bob Marley.
I know you talking about Gentleman. You talking about Gentleman. Yeah, he's a reggae artist too, but they fuck with Gentleman. They do.
But see, they fuck with Eminem, so come on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You look up and then he'll be the face of Bob Marley. This is what you ever see a picture of Brad Pitt with locks and say this is the Bob Marley story? Like, come on.
We do have an opportunity though this time, because what controlled us before, the way that we're able to get control of music is they control the distribution of it and who and how it was able to get out there. But now with the internet, there's really no control on how it gets out there. The problem is being able to monetize it the way that we were in the past is a lot more difficult, because there's no physical way to track how people are getting the music. And so the distribution of it is it's a lot different. But I think that we do have an opportunity to get more control of our music because we can own it in the digital world. It's just being able to monetize it that's going to be the problem.
Right on. What do y'all think the future is of reggae? Wait, before we get there, what are some of the different forms of reggae? Just real quick, any different? I just heard of Lovers Rock last month, so I mean I've been hearing it, but I didn't notice what it was called. And then it's Singing the Police. You know what I mean? They got reggae.
That's not, I guess.
I'm just being silly. Go ahead. What's the different forms?
It's ska, right?
Yeah, ska. Ska's actually, it's not reggae. It's a form of music before reggae. It's what reggae evolved into.
Oh.
What is ska? How does that sound? Maybe I heard that and didn't know it.
SKA. It's like how would I describe ska?
It's jumpy. It feels jumpy. I
just wondered.
It's like music.
It's not like calypso or nothing like that. Wrong.
Not necessarily calypso, but yeah, I don't know. Can you pull up a ska song or something?
I don't know how to describe it either.
Okay, so Madonna's trying to say it's like the old sound of Jimmy Cliff's.
Yeah, it's an old form of before reggae music as we know it, was fundamentally developed. It was like the form of music before that. And how would I describe it? I wouldn't know how to describe it per se.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Do your research at home, folks. For those of you at home, for those of you at home. Yeah.
Okay, different forms. So we started with, that's more like the roots of it before it became reggae. What other forms of reggae? Lovers Rock, or what else? Roots reggae.
Roots.
Okay. What else?
Yeah. Roots is also called rockers. Like the early form. You have rockers. You have and then it's really about the different kind of rhythms now, right? The different kind of because let's just say the person playing the music. So when you go to dance hall, we call them DJs and rappers or MCs. The DJ in Jamaica is actually the artist, the MC. And the DJ that we call DJ, who be on the ones and twos, they call him a selector.
The selector.
So you're the record selector. You picking the tunes. and what we call the MC, they call the DJ. So that'd be the one rapping or singing or performing. Right? So Yeah, those are basically the I say the simplest forms of different reggae. Rockers, lovers rock, roots and culture.
I also love dub music. It's more instrumental, but
Yeah,
the dub plate that's everything, man.
yeah.
You don't even really need an artist.
You're right.
Instruments is a part of reggae sound. You know how when you talk about a quartet, or is there any particular instrument that you must have to make a reggae sound?
Drum, bass,
Yeah, rock steady.
right?
Yeah,
Rock steady, rock steady music. Drum, bass, look at guitar for your riffs. You know what I mean? And it's real simple because again, but they lack resources. So it's the simpler the instruments that came together to make reggae music. You know what I mean? It might be somebody with a 4-string. My light went off. It might be somebody with a 4-string guitar. You know what I mean? A little drum. I forget what the box is called. I used to sit down under a little box.
Cajon.
All right, yeah, that. You know what I mean? And make the beat. So it's simple.
Just mean box in Spanish. It's a box.
So would you say that reggae music is a love music, a war music, a struggle music? Like what is or is it just a whole bunch of stuff?
Go ahead, King. It's all of it, but go ahead, King.
Yeah.
Sis?
no, I just said people's music. It's the people's music. I mean,
Word.
If I want to put, you just said word like it was back in '88.
Yeah, unanimous. It's the people's music.
I did.
I love it. I love those.
I'm subject to do that anytime.
Love that. Okay, as we wrap up, what music do you think links you to reggae now? Like if you started out with this, somehow you may end up in reggae.
If I play conscious hip hop, I'm gonna get down. Reggae is gonna automatically. Yeah. Yeah. If I play conscious music, it's gonna.
Afro beats for me. If I'm in the Afro beats mood, reggae's coming in there definitely.
Afrobeat's gonna save black music in the future. Period. I don't care if it's reggae, hip hop, or whatever. Afrobeat is gonna be the savior of black music. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh,
that's a tall order.
That's too much to be putting on Afrobeat's heads like that.
That's a lot. Yeah. Do they know?
Ain't nothing wrong with having hope. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I think they study it so much that it's not going to be that difficult. It's not that big of a lift. They've been waiting for
Afrobeat is the future. It's the future. Because it's new black music. It's new black music, if you will. We always with the new, and the new always takes over. You'd be surprised, like when you like how hip hop invaded Africa. Like you got a lot of Black American influence on the continent. You know what I mean? But that's how we do as Africans in America. We lead the world. Everybody look for us and they take cue. But what they was able to take and create and give back, and I slowly see it trickling in and creeping into all kinds of different spaces I be in. I'll be surprised when somebody who I would expect to know nothing about Afro beats, I pull up and they playing some shit. I'm like, oh, they growing.
Yeah, it's here now.
What about you, if I want to play?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
What'd you say? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said, what about you? I forgot what it was. I'm gonna tell you what my hesitation is, y'all. I'm just gonna be honest because I'm trying not to laugh. I love optimism. I love black people. We can be sitting in the pile of shit and be like, look here. We ain't got no shit on it. There's hope for the rest of your body. So I know is that
you know what comes before that is the song, right? So it's our song selection that determines what our attitude toward a thing is.
Yeah.
You know, and who you are is going to determine your song selection.
Right on.
Yeah, you can be sitting in a pile of shit and then somebody start singing "I Surrender All" or "Great Is Thy Faithfulness," or you can be sitting in a pile of shit and somebody starts singing something like
I swear I am. I believe in optimism. I
Big Crap Commandments or some shit like that. Like you don't. It just depends.
That's what I'm saying. And I just know that. So for me, like first, I used to think that Nollywood was gonna be the answer to Black folks in entertainment. But the more I watch it, the more influence
you like.
And I just be like, oh, everybody's starting to look beige. We in trouble. Like we're in Africa and I'm seeing people looking beige. The whole cast. And I'm like,
I'm hearing too much 90s slang to feel like this is the direction of this is the
I want Afrobeat, but I know that we have an energy on this planet that job is to whenever you're creating something, its job is to come in and put itself in it. That's all I'm saying. Its job is to roll up and be like, Afrobeat. You come out and then the shit be something that it did. Like everything we had started off as some sort of struggle. Let's be honest. We didn't have the luxury of just creating shit because there was nothing to do. It was always because we had a bunch of shit to do. So we were trying to have some relief, you know, even if we dance backwards. It come from need to be free. But what I know is it seemed like we always missed the signs of history and understanding that white people are not going to let you be independent without them being in it. And Afrobeat is beautiful. They said the same thing about hip hop. They said the same thing about jazz. They said the same thing about gospel. And I'm like, look, this optimism is beautiful. But I also know the more I look at stuff, all I gotta do is look at the imagery. That's all I gotta do. I watched Nigerian movies all day yesterday. Love the storyline. But if everybody on there had a hair weave, every Black woman on there had it. Every Black dude on there was trying to be the hippest Negro. They were talking just like us. And I'm like, y'all got a whole genre to yourself. You got Hollywood, you got Ghana Wood, you got Sierra, y'all got your own stuff. Don't be me. Like I don't even know how to say no.
I can't with the 90s slang though.
You are absolutely
You lose me every time. I can't. It's so distracting. Like, are you for real? You just said that. That's hella corny, blood. What was that?
You know what I mean? Like y'all just looking at the overall, like the ending game. And I think sometimes as women, we look at all the slices it takes to get to the end game. You looking straight up at the goal, like kick that ball to the goal, and we looking like, dude, there's 1,000 invisible blockers in the air that's gonna stop your ball from kicking. That's all I'm saying. You may make it through a few times, and I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, but I think we just gotta be realistic.
You know what? You just brought me back down to earth. I swear, because yesterday, I was so mad. I blocked that out of my mind. But I literally saw a Jack in the Box commercial. We're gonna see it now that I'm telling y'all this.
Okay.
Commercial, a motherfucking Jack in the Box. The kid is dancing to an Afrobeat, doing our dances.
Oh.
And then there's 3 or 4 other white kids on the dance. There's not one Black person in this commercial. And it's to an Afrobeat.
Yeah.
And this one is actually doing the dances like he. And it's to an Afrobeat. So I'm back now.
I'm back.
We don't need that hope. But
yeah.
That's all. Just Sunday.
We'll just say Afrobeat got next. That's what we'll say.
We'll just say
whatever.
I'm hopeful. Because right now somebody's creating something new that we ain't seen yet. Or maybe, I don't know.
That's real.
Everybody start playing instruments again, and next thing you know, there'll be something called instrumental bop or something. I don't know. I mean, what else? We always find a way to create something new. Even when you think you have stolen something from us, it's like Richard Pryor used to say, "You can tell if you ain't been on the block if you don't know the latest handshake." We may have developed this, and it took you 6 months to get it, and by the time you got it, we done ordered this.
We moved on there next thing.
That's that creativity that we have.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah.
So reggae gonna still be there. We still gonna go pull out the old records and get the messages that we should have got. I pray that the new artists pay homage to the old artists so we can learn some things. Because I'm sick of us thinking we got something new and it's the same old. Your enemy. Yeah. I would go with this. I guess that everybody wants to boycott Andy Cohen, who does the housewives thing. I'm saying to myself, what would make him different than his ancestors? Why are we really mad at this white boy? Because is that you thought he was different because he was gay? He's still a white man at the end of the day. So don't be mad at him. Be mad at your goddamn self because y'all the one who watched this bullshit. Don't be mad at Vlad because he mad at Mr. Farrakhan. He been doing disrespectful snitch shit and y'all was up there talking to him. Yeah. So now you mad because he said something about Mr. Farrakhan? Like, man, are you kidding me? He did all kind of shit before then and y'all couldn't wait to tell him his story. He is glad.
Yeah.
All right, closing thoughts, y'all. Don't get me started. I want y'all to have hope. I love reggae. It's the music of the people.
Yeah. I seen Sister LaDonna said it's the music of resistance, and you know that's another thing that it could be attributed to. Absolutely.
Right.
I was reading it again. Yeah. I don't know. In closing, I would say for those of you out there who is tuned in and is not too familiar with reggae music or certain artists, I advise people to go explore and go discover. You know what I mean? The genres for yourselves, the artists. Yeah. I don't know. It's a beautiful music though.
It didn't make you be as mellow as Keon is right now.
No, that's a forest fire.
That's it.
I love Keon because Keon is
a forest fire get him mellow like that.
What about you, if I'm going to play reggae? What's your thoughts on your final thoughts on?
We should listen to reggae more. I think one thing that's right now, I feel like there should be more music that speaks to our wholeness, that speaks to everything that our life, how we want to live it, and what we experience and what we want to experience, and our dreams for ourselves, but also the fact that we are incomplete. We're in a position based on how we're made to have all the things that we want happen for us. If we begin to embrace that, if we can embrace a song about it, then we can plant it within ourselves until we get the full feeling. And reggae music helps us do that a lot of in different ways, depending on where you're coming from, whether struggle is your thing, rebellion is your thing, love is your thing, spirituality is your thing. I think there's still like things that can transform you and take root inside of you on those rhythms that will help you live your truth.
What about you?
Medicine.
I'm just going to encourage people to listen to a sister named John 9. It's one of my favorite reggae artists out there right now, and Chronics. One of my favorite reggae artists out there, and there's so many of us that are trying to at least curious about who we are as a people. And I think that listening to reggae gives you a good foundation that will get you back to Africa.
Well said.
You could start with reggae, and it'll get you back to Africa, and it'll take you through our music all the way there. And so for those people that are seeking that, I think that's just the foundation that they should start from.
Purposeful. That makes me think of the word purposeful. Yeah, man. There's meditation and medication in reggae music specifically. Specifically.
Yes.
Right on. So, y'all, thank you so much for joining me with this conversation on reggae. I thought it was great. There are a lot of artists out there, and I feel like in the world today, there is no reason why people can't figure stuff out. I'm just gonna be honest, because we'll look up a tick on the tag. So you can, look up reggae music, listen to great reggae music. For me, when I hear the rhythms of reggae, it really makes your heart and soul connect to God, and you move on. So that's how I really see reggae in its totality. So I am very grateful for this conversation. It is always so good to be here with y'all like this. I'm so grateful. And next week, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be talking about. I always want to talk about some hip hop, but I feel like maybe we should talk about hip hop and the influences on hip hop. So whether if you're looking at jazz, whether if you're looking at hip hop, whether if you're looking at R&B, I think hip hop is a culmination of a lot of things. Does that make sense? Sorry, y'all. I just realized what happened. I'm in here sound like the microphone selector.
Yes.
Hold on, y'all. I'm about to fix that. Sorry about that. I'm in here echoing for real. All right, see, that went away.
Happy New Year, everybody.
So anyway, y'all. Okay, let me get this right. Bam. Sorry about that, y'all. So, anyway.
Same to you, sis.
Next week, we're going to talk about hip hop, but the different influences on hip hop the way we know it. So I know, for me, because I'm a jazz fanatic, that part of hip hop that was jazz, I probably know a lot about that. But if you was in the funk, if you was in the pop, you're going to find your influence. Reggae, you can see all the influences in hip hop. We're going to be talking about that next week. Family, we will see you all next week. Don't roll, don't slide. Just keep the music on. Blessings, family.